Thank you. It's 7 o'clock. We're at the December meeting of the Fairfield Gonzalez Community Land Use Committee. And we're trying a different setup because we were told that people couldn't see anybody, just empty chairs. So bear with us while we try and get this dialed in so that it's just beautiful for everybody out there on virtual land. I would like to acknowledge the traditional territory and ancestral, traditional and ceded Aboriginal territories of the Coast Salish people, and in particular the Wasanic and the Quaggan, on whose territory we live, work, and play. My name is Joanna Fox. I'm the chair of the Fairfield Gonzalez Land Use Committee, and we have the other members of the committee are here today. Owen Seifert is here in the room. Dave Thompson's online. Sorry. And Ashley Fernandez is online, and Michael Hirsch is online. So they are the members of the committee. And we will be featuring two presentations tonight. The preliminary meeting for 1771, 1772 May Street. So this is a meeting where the applicant will present the proposal, and it's a proposal, currently has a legal duplex, and the proposal is to have a standalone duplex and a triplex. And so Keith Davidoff is here and will do that presentation. Members of the community are can listen, obviously, to the presentation, but are not to ask questions at this point. So it's really just an information exchange. The Community Association Land Use Committee members will ask questions afterwards, and that's the beginning of the process for that application. Following that, we'll have a community meeting for 1840 Crescent Road, and that is a meeting where community members are actually enabled to ask questions at the end of the presentation. Both presentations have a maximum of 15 minutes. The applicants don't have to take all 15 minutes. And the role of the CALUC is to engage the community into the process of these applications and to enable communication. We do not make recommendations. We may make a suggestion if there's something that we think might be helpful or missing from what is sort of the norm in applications, but we're really here to make sure that the community is involved and that the process is straightforward for the applications. There's a couple of people here who don't have names. We need to have some names so that we can record attendance. So whoever is iPad. Oh, is that you? Okay. All right. So everybody else, I think, should be okay. So the chat box really doesn't do anything for this meeting, this first meeting, because until we get to because we're going to be having questions just from the committee. So sorry. As a member of the community, once the application goes to the city and is posted on the development tracker, you can follow the progress of the application. There is a process where that came in during COVID, where the community members are encouraged to submit feedback on the proposal online. There's an online comment box, and you can either support or oppose or say neither, just give your thoughts. And all those comments are wrapped up after 30 days, and they're given to the applicants, the land use committee, and the mayor and council. So that along with any emails that you might write to mayor and council or to the land use committee. So there are many, many, many ways to make your voices heard, and we will ensure that they will get to City Council so that they can have all that information in front of them. And the last thing you can actually do where you can make presentations, like speak on behalf of your community with regard to the application, is when it gets to the final step, which is the public hearing with the City of Victoria. And you can either be online, you can send a video, or you can be in person. And that date is always mentioned as well in the development tracker. So it's really important that you get familiar with the development tracker. You can follow any development that's going on, any building that's going on in the City of Victoria, not just in Fairfield and Gonzales on there. So it's a really good resource. So I'm going to turn it over to Keith Davidoff, who's going to make a presentation on the May Street application.
Thank you, Joanne.
You can have it.
You want me over there, or you? Yes, please. Okay. Excuse my back, Joanne.
Oh, no, it's fine.
All right, well, thank you very much, Chair and members of the Community Association. Thank you for your time here this evening to listen to this proposed development. My name is Keith Davidoff. I own and operate ProCAD Project Management and Design. I do project management and design of light commercial and residential properties throughout Greater Victoria. My clients are here today. Off to the side, Stephanie Revel and Daryl Norgard, who are both owner occupiers of the properties, one at 1171 May Street and the other at 1173 May Street. So what we have in front of you is Hawthorne Row. Hawthorne Row is a name that's been, it's unregistered as of now, but it's a name that the clients feel are very compatible with the neighborhood and May Street itself. So I'm going to begin here. And Joanne, just to stand corrected, you mentioned a triplex, but it was a fourplex.
Sorry.
We had,
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Duplex general, duplex and.
Yeah. Is it mentioned or is it? Yep, there we go. Perfect. Thank you. So the development vision here, the design rationale, what happened over there? Fulfill the need for new and adequately sized housing, high quality, thoughtful, well-designed, with sustainability and architectural character. Family-oriented housing with the parks and schools and commercial districts nearby. One building, Block A, is a duplex that will contain 2-bedroom units, and Block B will be a fourplex that contains 3-bedroom units. Contextual response, the proposed 3-story form allows for medium density development. Existing single-family homes in the neighborhood are between 2 and 3 stories. Massing on the property has been broken down into a duplex and a fourplex, with the duplex being slightly lower than the fourplex to give that scaling down from the corner. The site is flat, so there will be very minimal need for large retaining walls. Driveway off of Main Street will be removed, and all parking will be enclosed garages with 1 space per unit, 1 visitor stall, and will be accessed off the secondary road, Cambridge Street. Architectural character, keeping in with Victorian roots, sustainable, durable materials, sustainable approach required, and envelope performance are important. Accent colors applied to entry doors will provide some identity. So the proposed project seeks to transform the southeast corner of May and Cambridge Streets from a well-used duplex to a friendly duplex and fourplex with traditional neighborhood character. So is this the PDF? Sorry, is this the PDF? Is it? There's some, okay. I'm going to skip over that one because for some reason. Here's some photos of the existing duplex. We're looking top left corner. You're looking basically down the Main Street Boulevard with the existing duplex on the top right-hand corner of that photo. The bottom left-hand photo is showing once again the duplex at the corner, looking west, southwest. The other photo in the other corner. Sorry, my bad. The other corner is looking right from the intersection of Cambridge and May Streets, looking southeast. And the other bottom corner is, how can I move that? Move that.
That one's looking south on Cambridge on the bottom right.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just trying to move this. It seems like it's in the way here, sorry. Where's my technical person? There we go. Okay. Yeah, so the bottom one is looking down the Cambridge Boulevard. And that's where the access from to the back of the units will be off Cambridge. And the bottom left-hand photo there, you can see the driveway off of Main Street. That'll all be removed, and it'll just be basically a sidewalk and the entrances to the units. Basically, the design guidelines I was following with regards to City of Victoria, orientation and interface, having a friendly face with the street. Just kind of there we go, do that. Basically, our design really kind of resembles this top right-hand corner here of a very street-friendly nature, probably with a white picket fence and some hedging, very similar to that. So these comments that were that I took an excerpt from the design guidelines is basically the principle that we've worked on the design for this project. In several articles, I'm sure you're all aware of the missing middle with regards to family-oriented townhouses, duplexes, row housing. We basically calling this a row house style of design, and seems like it's a missing component of the City of Victoria. And we feel that the design that we've come up with allows for some family, some empty nesters even, and if I may at this point in time, my two clients are actually going to be owning and occupying 2 of the units. So 4 of the units will be on the market. The other 2, their intent right now is for them to be owner occupiers of the units. Oops. Sorry. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. Not friendly with. There we go. Thank you. Fairfield neighborhood plan, future land use. The property is in a traditional residential area outlined in the OCP, which we are basically allowing for which states a 1.1 floor space ratio. What we've got here is a 0.93 to 1. I'll get into those drawings here shortly. So the building types, obviously here, single detached dwellings, housing conversions, duplexes, and as it goes on, it talks about generally ground-oriented residential buildings, including houseplexes, townhouses. So following once again the guidelines here that are within the OCP. Quickly, high level of the site plan, May Street and Cambridge Street corners. Here, the driveway here is an existing driveway. Getting rid of that driveway, and we will be coming off the backside here and into 6 enclosed garages. This blue line here, if you can see, it's very faint, but it's right there, is basically the line of the existing duplex that's there. So as you can see, we've pulled the building back considerably from the neighboring property to the south. It will be a site-specific zone that I will be working with the city planners on, and we would be looking at a 10-foot setback on the Cambridge Street side and a 10-foot on the front of May Street. Once again, some pergolas, some white picket fencing, and making it a very friendly walk up front entries on the May Street side. Going quickly through the floor plans, lower floor plans, including enclosed garage in each, one visitor stall between units, a small den on the duplex unit, and a little bit of larger den office capability on the fourplexes. Pretty well identical units other than they're flipped. The duplex, once we get to the elevations, you'll see is a little bit lower in height versus what the fourplex is. Moving up to the main floor, has the main living area, the kitchen, a dining area, a powder room, a deck off the back, and similar in, whoops, then the fourplex here is generally the same layouts with the main floor, kitchen, dining, living, powder rooms on the main floor. As we move up to the upper floor, we've got 2 bedrooms, a master bedroom and a second bedroom in the duplex with 2 bathrooms, an ensuite and a main washroom. All units have washers, dryers up on the upper floor. And then in the fourplex, we've got the 3 bedroom units, 1, 2, and a master bedroom, once again with an ensuite and another washroom with laundry. Elevation, keeping in with some Victorian roots. The colors, sorry, the color didn't show up on that. We had a little bit of a color mock-up there on that far left-hand side, but it was basically very similar to the one that was in the design guidelines here. That it was the blue with white and kind of colors with doors that would have a bright identity to them, provide a red or a maroon or something, some kind of color such as that. So this top elevation is what you'd be seeing from May Street. As you can see, the duplex is a little bit smaller. It's got a hip roof designed to that, and then the 4 unit is the larger mass. We kept it broken up just to provide some green space in between the 2 buildings, so that wasn't one large complex on the corner. The bottom here is the rear, with garages in the back. And then this one here, the block A, is what you'd be seeing on Cambridge side. So Cambridge Street side, what we tried to do is create some, even though this door is into the garage, we've tried to keep it some kind of a focus point that it's a front of a building, or the front entry to the building, even though the main entry is off of the street. And these are some other side elevations of the buildings, the different blocks. We have some metal roofing that's incorporated in it as well. Hardy siding, hardy plank shingles, basically an asphalt or fiberglass laminate roof shingle, and yeah, generally keeping in that model. So that's really just a quick high level of the design that's proposed in front of you folks. We're looking for comments and ultimately some support from the community moving forward.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, unless, well, you might get asked.
Okay, sure,
So
yep.
just say, and don't worry, honestly, don't worry to be
I feel awkward.
I know, sorry. So, members of the land use committee, you have an opportunity to ask questions of Keith, and We see.
Right across
Yeah.
from us, of course, Keith is the
Right now, I know.
apartment
So-
building,
so
right?
Dave, you got it
Right
planned
across
out?
the street from us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just, you mentioned, I think in the presentation, street friendly and eyes on the street. And I wondered about that back lane where all the garages access, if you've got any opportunity to increase the amount of window space facing onto that in order to help out with that.
Okay, are you referring to this bottom elevation here that I'm showing right now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a tricky issue. Number one is you have a neighbor there that's on the south side, so you don't want to have too much fenestration on that side, so that you're exposing yourself to that neighbor. You want to keep some privacy. Yet I understand your question there. If we look at the floor plan here, we've tried. There's definitely some ability to throw some more windows at a higher level here as clear story windows, or make them at least wider or whatnot. And those aren't really, those are private. So yes, that could definitely work. Once we get down to the main floor, you know, there's an ability to increase some windows there as well. But once again, you can see it's a storage area, it's a china, it's a buffet right now, unit where people can put their dishes and whatnot for their dining room table. And then there's a small window that's next to the, you know, that's part of the powder room. So, and then if you get down on the lower floor, I was proposing to have the doors glazed, you know, fully glass kind of to allow it, rather than having a white fiberglass door that you see on most houses. Like,
Oh, okay, great.
you know, just to open it up a little bit, but still keep privacy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks. That takes care of it. I was thinking ground level would be best. That's great.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Anybody else from the committee? Ashley, Dawn? Like, oh. Yes, Michael.
Yeah, I have a question, Joanna. Thanks for the presentation. I was, I guess, wondering if you have any stats to kind of contrast this with maybe the current zoning, like in terms of height, site coverage, and then maybe just curious, like what the square footage of this lot is. Just because I know, like right now, this is like it's not on Cook or something. It's very much just like amongst the single family dwellings in Fairfield. To sort of get a better sense of like how this compares with what's there.
Yeah, good question. So basically we have here we have this that shows a site area of 8,582 square feet. Can you see that on the, if I close this on, is this going to disappear somewhere?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, there we go, good. 8,582 square feet. And that's our floor space of the 0.93, where part of the neighborhood plan is allowing one-to-one. I've had some preliminary discussions with Alec Johnson, city planner. So and that was almost about a year ago, before we started designing and developing this. So there's no specific zone for this. He did give me a number of different zones. Excuse me one second, Gerald. Do you mind passing me the folder there, please? Thank you, sir. Thank you. He had requested, or not requested, but basically the RK zone, the RT zone, and the RJ zone as reference to density, or to setbacks, to site coverages, and so on and so forth. So honestly, my next step was to, you know, hopefully go from this meeting to Alex and have some more discussion, fulsome discussion with regards to density and the site coverage and whatnot. But as far as relative comparisons, kitty corner to this, there's a it's a 3-story commercial building, apartment building that's on the corner of escapes me as May Street and the one street to the west or east. Linden, yeah, right in the corner of Linden and May Street. So there's a very and it's pretty monochromatic. It's just a pardon the expression, a square box. So yeah, as far as density goes, and I think, I believe, not I believe, but down the Linden and around the corner, there's a couple of duplexes there, townhouse style duplexes that are there. They've been built a few years back.
The fiveplex further down Main Street towards Moss, and then there's also.
That's right,
commercial
yes,
on the corner of Moss and,
Yeah, I'm just thinking like so I know there was like one that's being built on May near towards the cemetery, and that property's on a slope, so like from the street it presents like as just a plain 2-story, even though it's a 4-plex.
Right.
Yeah, I just thinking of like what you probably expect from the neighborhood is there's certainly some conversions.
Mhm.
There's like a 6-plex on Dallas Road that reads very much like the former single family home that it was previously.
Mhm.
But probably the context for comparison will be like, what's the height of this thing compared to like an R1B?
Yeah.
What's site coverage compared to? Understanding that there's talk of duplexes and 4-plexes, but potentially within that more familiar envelope. That's my 2 cents.
Yep, understood. The existing house right now to the peak, so it's not a calculation as per City of Victoria, but to the peak of the existing duplex is 27 feet, plus or minus. And the top of this, the 4-plex will be 35 feet. So it's about 8 feet taller. Do I want to say only, but it's 8 feet higher. Up for the duplex, or for the 4-plex component, pardon me.
Right.
So the massing, considering what comes out of it as far as a 3-story unit that is between 1,441 to 1,462 square feet, I think because there are a number of 2.5, 3-story homes in the neighborhood that are conversions and whatnot. So we feel that it's compatible, but obviously looking for input. So all your input is valuable.
So I have 2 questions. What you guys again? Dave?
Are you calling on me, Joanna? I couldn't hear that.
Your hand is up. Are you?
Okay, yeah, I have a question. So just on that last point, there's quite a tall duplex directly behind it, and then there's the 3-story apartment at May and Linden, which I guess I'm not sure what the relative heights of those. I was trying to figure it out on the map, I couldn't see it. But my question is about the end facing of the duplex onto Cambridge. Can you navigate to that slide? I think you were trying to show that there was an entryway there.
Yep, certainly. Just bear with me here. There we go. Yeah, there we go.
There it is. That's the top left one, right?
Yeah, the top left one, the block here.
Yeah. I was just wondering again, partly out of interest in eyes on the street and septed type design. I'm just wondering if there's any opportunity to have maybe a more sort of traditional looking entry with a more, with something above that door, so it doesn't look like a utility door, and maybe centered, maybe a bit more window again.
Mm-hmm. No, totally understood. Do I really like this? Sometimes, when you do a design, you look at it and go, yeah, I'm not quite happy with it yet. It doesn't kind of flow. So I totally agree with where you're coming from, Dave. It's missing something, and certainly it can work on that and make it more.
You know this stuff way better than I do, and maybe plantings will change the aspect of it too. So
No, good points. And I must credit one of the owners here that basically came up with that thought of bringing that to that side. So thanks, Stephanie, for that. So I'll work on augmenting that a little bit and making it a little bit more friendly.
is there a walkway going up to that door?
No, it's the garage door to the side of the unit. So if I may here, bear with me. I'll just go back to the floor plan.
Oh, okay.
So see it there on the left hand side here. It's
Oh, I
basically
see.
But there's no reason I can't move that door down here and play around with some window cover, windows, maybe put a window here and a window there and a roof over top of it. You know, there's ways of making it much more friendlier.
So just on that note, that's then the only unit that has the access to the garage on the side, all the other units have garage access back.
Yeah, and I originally had it out the back, similar to this unit. But in discussions with my clients, they basically said, why don't we look at exactly what Dave was saying, trying to make that a street friendly side. So that's why that door got moved over, but I agree, the elevations need a little bit more horsepower. They're just not lacking. I agree, it's lacking something there.
Anything else, Dave, before I go?
I'm all done, thanks.
Okay, so a couple questions.
Yes,
These are questions that we ask every applicant because it does have a sort of climate action bent. So heating, what kind of heating are you planning? Are you at the point where you have an idea of heating?
We're not at that point yet, but I'm at this point, I'm focusing towards electric baseboard. But the forced air, you know, like we haven't made a decision yet. Is there a preference that anybody's?
Well, one of the things that we're hearing a lot of in new builds are heat pumps.
Mhm.
Because they're,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's always a question on
That's
and that's always an issue. It can be an issue or it can be an issue, the level, that's the level of heat pumps, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's just something that has come up previously. Oh, sorry, I have to speak up. I was talking about heat pumps.
and definitely with the heat pumps, it obviously it helps a little bit with the layout of the floor plan too inside. You get electric baseboards that really limits your spacing. So at this point in time, I haven't really, to be honest, we haven't had that full discussion yet.
On that same note, e-car plugins.
Yeah, they're in. We got them.
And in the garage, if you want to go to the garage oversight, this is also one of the.
Mhm.
It's not obvious to us. Now I see there's a den in each unit.
Mhm.
What about parking for bikes?
Yeah, bike parking, we've got bike, I've got it, I don't know if I can zoom in on this, but if we look in here, there's a bike storage rack that would be included in these ones, in all of these units.
Okay.
So there's a bike storage rack that's there.
Okay. Oh yeah, so, now this particular building, I find quite interesting because it's level entry.
Mhm.
And if you were to consider, because these are going to be resold, if I came to you and said, I'm really interested in the end unit, but I need accessibility. So I like the fact that it's ground level, but I'd like to put an elevator in there so I can get to the second floor.
Yep.
And I'm willing to pay for that. Is that something that?
Most definitely. I've already talked to my clients about that. And once these units would go on the market, if there's someone that came to them with that request, I've already looked at areas where we can either put in a lift, or at minimum, what we're going to do is all the stairs, the stair walls, will reinforce to allow for a stair lift up there, like one of those stair lifts that go up and follow the stairs. But we can include a lift somewheres into the plan. It's sacrifice something in the space, but I've already had that discussion. So accessibility is an important thing nowadays, obviously, and
well, and if I'm in a wheelchair 24/7, then I was just talking to you, but elevator.
Right.
I need to talk about it.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, so that's good. And so green space is really not there.
There's green, so the yards are all the front yards of the units. The end unit of the duplex, you've got the side yard, and the end unit of the fourplex, you got a little strip of grass. But basically the fronts with the pergolas and the gate, and that's the yard per se, as far as the soft landscaping. In the back, you've got the decks and paver. We haven't had that fulsome discussion again with regards to pavers or concrete, or what we're going to do in the back to soften it. There's obviously a landscape strip that we'll have on the south property line with the neighbors, obviously. So there'll be some softening of the landscaping there. Yeah. No, the whole idea is to make it very almost kind of like a precedent setting for that whole corner. I think we just want to have that. This project, I think, will be quite prominent and coming to that corner and set precedent for others down the way.
Well, I don't have any further questions. Anybody on the committee? Dave, you have your hand up again?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you could show me that Cambridge face again. I just had another thought.
There you go, sir.
There it is. Yeah, and the reason I had this thought was because Joe is on the call, and I happen to know that he has a place down at Superior and Oswego that is designed a lot like this one, and it has on that second floor, it actually has a balcony looking out on the street, and it presents quite a nice bit of community with the street. And I know because I lived in it, and there was a good bit of interaction. Like we would be out on the balcony interacting with people on the street. So it's a good eyes on the street for the back lane, as well as just a kind of a nice way to face the street. I keep suggesting these things that raise price though, and that's not my objective here.
No, but it's also blending in with the community too, and very valid comments of what you've got there with having that friendly community, that connection with the street. So
yeah, and I've also been involved with some crime prevention through environmental design type discussions recently, so it's all coming to mind.
no, that makes total sense. Yeah, perfect. Thank you for those comments.
Okay, so we have nobody else with any comments. So members of the community, as I said, once this goes to the formal application with the city, we're going to follow it chapter, but we're not there yet. So the next time we can see this presentation will be a community meeting, and anybody within years of this building will receive notification of it, and that's sort of where we're at with that process.
Well, thank you very much, Joanna, and members of the Community Association. Thank you very much, and I know the volunteer time is a lot, so thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are just going to do a quick change of, so Joe, Glenda, you have the presentation on your present from virtually. This is a 1840 Crescent Road. Application for small lot on a single family house on a lot to be subdivided from the parent lot. And this is one that's come before the land use committee previously. They went back to the drawing board, and thank you. And so this is the presentation that we will be seeing from. So anytime you're ready. We can't hear you.
You're muted, Joseph.
Have you enabled me to share screen? Okay, I'll just try sharing screen. Oh, there we are. Good. Okay, yes, this is our application, 1840 Crescent Road. It's the corner lot at Crescent Road and Irving. And our application is for a small lot, single family house, zone change and subdivision. These are photos of the houses around our house, and you can see that they're all single-family houses, and they come in a variety of styles, some more contemporary and some more traditional. This is a map of the neighbors that we contacted back in September of last year when we did our first small lot petition, and we intend to contact the same neighbors when we do our next small lot petition. So this is our revised proposal today, and you can see in the profile that it's a 1.5 story single family house with a peaked roof, more traditional design. And I just want to talk about the differences between what our design was in September 2020 and what our design is today in September 2021. So in September 2020, we were in fact proposing 2 lots and 2 houses on 1,300 square meters of land. And today we're proposing 2 lots and 2 houses on 1,300 square meters of land. Our first proposal from September 2020 was a shed roof, modern 2-story house with 156 square meters of floor area. That's 1,680 square feet of floor area. Our design today is a peaked roof, more traditional design, 1.5 story house with 159 square meters, or about just over 1,700 square feet of floor area. In 2020, our new small lot was 345 square meters with building envelope variances. Today, our new small lot is 362 square meters with no building envelope variances. In September 2020, we were proposing, sorry, let me get back here. We were proposing 2 households on 1,300 square meters. That's an ERD of 2, neighborhood planning best practices in 2021. Today, we're proposing 2 households on 1,300 square meters of land, neighborhood planning best practices in 2021. These are the elevations of our house as proposed: north elevation, south elevation, east and west. We have Adam Fried online. He's with Modern Built, and Adam is the designer. And if there are any questions with respect to the details of this design, Adam can answer them. Okay. We have a tree management report, and our tree management report indicates that there are 5 trees on the proposed small lot. 4 will be removed, including the apple tree, the pear tree, and 2 Lawson cypress trees. The Douglas fir will be protected during construction as per the tree management report. This is our catalog of trees on site, and it shows which trees are being removed and which trees are being retained. So just as a general comment, these trees that we're showing in the photo here are all on site, and they're in fair to poor condition and are recommended by the arborist for removal as they are in the building footprint. More trees will be planted on site in replacement of these trees that are being removed. Our landscape plan shows the new plantings, and our site plans, building elevations, and landscape plans are available on the development tracker for anyone who wishes more detail. This is our landscape plan. Now, this is the landscape plan that went with the lot and house design from September of 2020. Our new lot in September 2021 is bigger, so we will be modifying this landscape plan to take account of the larger lot, but you can expect pretty much that the new landscape plan will be similar in plantings and size of plantings and number of plantings as the one you're seeing in front of you now. So just to summarize, this application is already consistent with the Fish Community Plan. It's already consistent with the Gonzales and Fairfield neighborhood plans. It represents good urban planning, good urban design, good landscaping, and good architecture. It fits on the site, it relates well to the street, and it fits in a neighborhood and it achieves the small lot design guidelines. This application redevelops the site fully, completely, and sustainably, and carefully in consideration of future citizens. It takes the long view, and it doesn't underutilize the site in 2021. This is an almost 14,000 square foot lot. It's a 14,000 square foot lot with one house on it. The environmentally responsible density value here is 2. So we're increasing the lot yield from 1 household to 2 households, all in a single family building form, consistent with the neighborhood as it is. So we say this application deserves to be approved on its own merits. It represents neighborhood planning best practice in 2021 as we respond to the housing emergency in Victoria. So a small lot house on the corner of Crescent and Irving Road. Thank you for your consideration, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions.
Joseph, I just have a question about your presentation. We're not seeing any layout or specifics about the house as a building. Is that something that was omitted for a particular reason? Normally we see layouts and.
I'm sorry, you're asking for a site plan layout that shows the house on the lot?
Well, also often we see the layout of the new build, where the garage is, where the rooms, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay, if we look at this plan here, this is the street profile. This is the actual site plan, okay? So here's the new lot. This is the proposed house. This is the remnant lot, and this is the existing house. So you can see the relationship of the new house to the street, and the relationship of the new house to the house and lot to the north, and to the house and lot to the south.
So with the proposed small lot, so with the house actually, so is it a 2-bedroom house, a 3-bedroom house?
Are you, oh, hang on a sec. Oh. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. So I must say, Joanna, I'm actually having trouble hearing you.
Oh,
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, I'm coming closer to the mic.
Oh, that's better. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. What I was asking was if you had a slide that had more information about the actual house and in terms of how many bedrooms and how it's laid out, where the parking is, where the garage is, that kind of thing.
Okay, well, the parking is right here, as you can see, okay? And the house is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, 1.5 story. And the floor plan is what I would call a regular floor plan. You can kind of get a sense of it right here.
Is there any way to increase that?
Let's see. I'm trying to find that. No, I don't think so. I can't. No, I'm sorry, I can't increase that.
Okay, so that's.
But you know, Adam Fried is here and he can probably speak to the details of the floor plan, although I don't have a slide that shows it.
No, that's okay. I was checking to see if you did or you didn't. So just so I understand, so the parking is like a slab parking space outside. There's no garage or anything. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So I have to go. So clearly our microphone system wasn't working as well as we had anticipated. So I'm just moving. So thank you, Joe. And I just we're trying to get an understanding there for myself before we went into any questions. And maybe we solved having other questions about that. So how can I see everybody's? Up here? Oh, view. Gallery? No, side by side gallery. Sorry, just bear with me. I'm just trying to
Sure.
be able to see everybody. Hello? Okay. Okay, so we can now open the floor to people who have questions. I'm just finding it hard to see because you're in a long line as opposed to a big block. We have had we've had actually many emails about this project that we will be adding to the report that we write at the end of this presentation, and some in support, some not in support, various reasons. But this is a good time for anybody who'd like to ask a question or make a comment about this application. Nobody? Any members of the CALUC would like to ask questions?
Yeah, I'll ask. Joe, did you say that you had spoken to the neighbors, and did you get responses?
When we first made the application in August of 2020, there was a small lot petition that was gotten secured. And I'll just go back to the map. This map shows the neighbors that were contacted for the small lot petition. So what we did, David, is we considered the comments from the neighbors, and we spent almost a year revising the plan so that today we're at a revised plan. And this revised plan, for the most part, reflects the comments of the neighbors. Clearly, it doesn't reflect every neighbor's comments because some neighbors have said, we just don't want this on that lot. So, but many of the comments that had to do with design, for example, a contemporary design versus a traditional design, and some of the comments that had to do with building envelope variances, we've tried to address all that by revising the design of the house so it's more of a traditional contemporary rather than a modern contemporary. And we made the lot bigger from 345 square meters to 362, so we can meet all of the building envelope regulations in the new zone. And by building envelope, I mean front yard, side yards, and rear yards.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a few more questions unless I'm not seeing anybody else's hands up. So back to the house.
Yes.
And again, these are questions that we ask every applicant. So the heat source.
I wonder if Adam could respond to that. Adam Fryatt.
Sure. Let me see here. I mean, it's kind of a little bit preliminary to talk about the heat source in a house that hasn't been approved yet, but it could be any one of a number of things. And, you know, there's a lot more options available now than there has been in a long time. So you can do an air source heat pump and run a hydronic system, or you can do an air source heat pump that runs a forced air system. Those would probably be the two most common. I would imagine, you know, the decision is really going to be decided by the person who ends up building this house when the time comes. But, you know, those are kind of the standards right now for, you know, what I do in construction.
It's more, Adam, it's more just the consideration of it because we do work with our climate action committee here at Fairfield Gonzales Community Association. So one of the.
Well, I mean, we're into the step code now, right? So building in the step code, you have energy requirements that you have to hit. So if you're building a step 3 home, which is by the time you get around to this, it's going to be a step 3 home, you're not really going to have a lot of options for heat sources that aren't going to meet whatever your climate or energy targets are, because that's the purpose of the step code. So you can't build a house like this and just fill it with electric baseboard heaters anymore. That doesn't cut it. So it's going to be a high energy efficiency system, regardless of what it is, because it has to be to meet step code requirements. Does that answer your question?
Yep, it answers my question. And just in defense of my question, is that, you know, for a lot of people, and especially for a lot of people who are in Fairfield Gonzalez, they're passionate about this, but they also may not know all those requirements in building. So it's just good practice to just mention it. That's all.
Yep.
Just so that, you know, someone can say, oh yeah, and then they talked about, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not trying to pick things apart here. It's just a suggestion that it's good to have that information up front for anybody in the community that so that they can say yes. Similarly,
Joanna, I wonder if I could maybe respond. Like, I'm certainly aware in the OCP that we have all sorts of environmentally sustainable building practices that are recommended. And certainly we're going to review the OCP and all the policies around house design and environmental sustainability. And we're going to try and hit as many of those policies as we can. But what Adam said is that if we actually design a step code 3 house, like a step code 3 house under the step code, then most of those policy asks in the OCP will be met by virtue of how a step code 3 house is designed anyways.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
So then can you tell me about, is e-cars then part of that as well, or do I ask about e-cars as well?
I'm sorry, e-cars?
Power for electric cars.
All right, yes, I think the intention is to provide an e-charger on the lot.
Okay, thank you. And so another thing we always ask about is parking for bicycles, outbuildings, anything like that. And again, that's why I asked about the floor plan.
Yeah.
Maybe the floor plan, I couldn't quite see it, but maybe the floor plan would have had something at the back that had some sort of, I don't know, it didn't look like there was anything there, but again, it's just one of the questions that we always ask.
Yep, I think Adam can respond to that.
Yeah, I can answer that. So on the first iteration of this design, there was a garage inside the envelope of the building.
Yeah.
The having the garage inside the envelope of the building made the building defined as a 2-story building, not a 1.5-story building, because the garage was taking up so much of the square footage of the main floor. So because the neighborhood complained about having a 2-story building, I think because they were interpreting it as a height measurement, not as a floor area measurement, we decided to just make it easier for people to digest, to make it a 1.5-story building. And in order to do that, we had to take the garage out of the envelope of the building. So the only parking on the site is surface parking. When I designed the house, knowing that it's a small lot and you're going to need more storage because there's not a lot of area, there's a larger than normal mudroom / laundry room that you enter off the side of the house that's intended to accommodate someone who wanted to use it as bicycle storage as well, so that you could bring your bikes inside and store them in what's essentially like a micro garage kind of thing off the side of the house rather than a car garage off the front of the house, so that you can still have the necessary storage space, but you have to do it in the floor plan.
Great, thank you. Thanks for that explanation. That definitely helps. I was asking questions because nobody else was, so now I'm going to go back to the
Sure.
Heidi Moreau, you have your hand up.
I do. I just wanted to say that we live directly across the street at 200 Irving Road. We're in a duplex, and the applicants, the owners of this lot, have talked to us extensively about their designs and their what they want to do with their house, and have really engaged us as neighbors in helping to understand what they want to do and how it would impact the street and us. And I just think that they've done a really good job taking into consideration some of the comments that they got back in September of 2020 and come back with a really great and thoughtful, well thought out plan.
Great, thank you. You also have a supportive comment in the chat. Sorry, Leah, I'm not sure if you wanted to say anything or we just would make this part of the report afterwards, but it definitely shows support for this proposal.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if the comments would just be summarized if I just said them, so I wanted to get them in writing. But yeah, basically I'm a 35-year-old resident of Victoria, and I, have watched a lot of different kinds of development happen in the city, and have a lot of my peers struggling to find housing or to be able to afford to continue to live here. And I think that this kind of development is important when people who've, because the land has been in their family for 4 generations, they are in a unique situation of being able to own property here. And instead of just sitting on a huge lot, they are considering the needs of the times, their own needs as well. Like, this will enable them to grow old in place, but they're also considering the housing crisis that we're in, and they're making part of their land available to a young family, probably, or a family who will be able to live in a great part of the city because of this development application. So I think that more of this should be happening, and we need to be looking at how, the very limited land that we have is being used. And so I think that I just wanted to give my support for the application.
Great, thank you, Leah. And we will put the comments you had in the chat into the report, as I said.
Great, thanks.
Are there any other comments on the proposal? I'm just looking through and not seeing anything. So not seeing anything, I'd like to thank you for the presentation, both.
David has his hand up.
He's got his hand up again. Okay, thanks, Dave.
Thanks. Just because we're leaving, I thought I'd throw this one in. Joe, you mentioned environmentally responsible density, the ERD, and you had a ratio, and I'm wondering where that ratio comes from.
Well, it comes from me. It's my term, and it's about the careful redevelopment of residentially designated land on single-family streets. So in this case, you're taking 14,000 square feet of land, and instead of having one house on it, you're having 2 houses. So the ERD value of that land today is 1 household. But when you subdivide it and build a second house on it, the ERD value of that 14,000 square feet is 2 households. So you've doubled the environmentally sustainable development value on that land.
And just out of interest, how that would compare to floor space ratios for, I might be using the wrong term, but anyways, the amount of floor space compared to the amount of lot space in terms of square footage. Is it comparable to the neighborhood?
You mean in terms of the small house that we're building on a 3,800 square foot lot?
Yeah, if you took the, that one.
Yeah.
Can I answer that question?
Yep.
Yeah.
So Gonzales has its own small lot zoning designation,
Right.
which actually has a much smaller floor space ratio than the other small lot zoning designations in Victoria.
Yep.
So one of the challenges with this zoning is that you have a very small lot and you're only allowed a maximum of 160 square meters of floor area for the size of the house, which is actually quite small given today's standards, right? So that is essentially a 1,600 and it's about a 1,700 square foot house. That's all you have for this small lot zoning designation. Doesn't matter whether it's the minimum size of the lot or it's a bigger size lot. So, you know, most of the time the floor space ratio is a percentage, but in this zoning, it's capped, right? So it's at a maximum of 160 square meters. So rather than it being, say, like 0.4 or 0.35, it's just capped at 160 square meters. So it's actually quite a low density ratio for even for a small lot. So, you know, if Joe's using a calculation of 14,000 square feet based on floor space ratio, then the existing lot with one household is like negligible. It probably has a floor space ratio of like 0.02 or something. Like it's almost nothing. It has almost no density whatsoever. So even with a second household, it's still far below most of the city of Victoria's floor space ratio standards. Because the Gonzales lots have a smaller floor area ratio number than the other lots in Victoria.
So compared to the OCP, it would be compliant on that.
Yes, it is compliant with the OCP. Maybe just another point. It's interesting that in the Gonzales, your minimum small lot size is 300 square meters, but everywhere else, your minimum small lot size is 260 square meters. So for some reason, Gonzales has a larger minimum small lot size than other parts of the city.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I'm not seeing any other questions. Dave, you sure you're done?
I'll think of something later.
Anyway, thank you both, Joe and Adam, for your presentation, and the members of the community who came to the meeting, thank you for doing so. And as I said, we've had lots of comments directly to our email, but also to the mayor and council, which will obviously get to mayor and council. So I wish you luck with your presentation, and community members can follow this on the development tracker when the application gets
Filed.
thank you, filed, and then you'll have more opportunities to comment, 30 days to comment that way as well. So so I'd like to invite the community, the committee members to stay on so that we can have a brief meeting, and thank everybody else for showing up, and wish you all best of the season.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everyone. Ciao for now.